Good morning. This is Friday, April 16th, and hopefully you've completed all your mods. Your study guides, and you haven't asked me any questions. So I guess you're completely confident in the answers that you got from your reading, which is a good sign. So I'll post the test in a little while, and then I'll start getting ready for chapter 13 for next week. All right. Be safe, be careful, take your time. Don't take the test until you're ready. And those of you who are missing tests, you need to get it done uh, really soon. Contact me. Oh, there's Victoria. Sweet. Victoria is joining us this morning. How nice. I was just giving my weekly lecture on making up tests that you've missed and keeping on top of things because the semester's almost over. So, good morning to you. Do you happen to have any questions from the study guide?
Yeah, let me just pull out my study.
Notes. All right, let me warm up the other computer over here so I can. Come on, wake up. Slowly. Well, I sort of have my internet problem solved. I got a new connection, which is good, but it's still not running right. So they're coming this afternoon to solve that problem. So I should be in good shape after today. The laptop is running literally 10 times faster than the desktop. Uh, so it's a good thing that we're talking on the desktop. I mean, on the laptop. Okay, here we are. Chapter 12. Better have the new stuff, not the old stuff. Oh, there it is. Got to erase the old stuff. Okay, now I'm ready. What you got? Oh, okay. Well, that looks like a 4. So, who is the most likely to feel unhappy about her appearance? That's the right question?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's look at our choices. A, Ellen, a midlife woman who regularly compares her 50-year-old body to herself at 25. Oddly enough, that is the answer, but it doesn't seem like it would be the answer, right? Alma, a midlife woman who dyes her hair. Nah. Allison, a midwife woman who exercises with the trainer. Nah. Elisa, a midwife woman who decided to let her hair grow. Okay. So those people who are just doing marginal things really don't make much of an impact. However, Ellen, who looks at herself in the mirror, might be a scary thought for some of us if we don't have any clothes on. She's comparing her 50-year-old body to what she might have looked like when she was 25 and immediately getting depressed. So that's why A is the answer. Um Although the book does talk about how in this midlife age that some don't feel so bad about the way they look. So I could see why that would make you think that. Um, okay, I think 5 was the next one. Which is a classic age-related change in male sexual performance? Well, take a break, go turn on your TV, and more than likely there'll be an advertisement for erectile dysfunction. Go buy some, instead of your Pfizer COVID shot, go get some Pfizer um, erectile dysfunction medication, the little blue pills, Viagra. Yeah. And well, I don't know if have you taken a human sexuality course, Victoria?
No, sir.
Well, you're probably pretty smart. The way men get erections is in the penis, there is a certain type of tissue that fills up with blood. And it's like considered a blood sinus because it absorbs this blood, and that's what gives the male the erection. And then when you're done having fun, then the blood flows out, and then the penis goes back to its normal flaccid self. So the problem with age is those little bitty capillaries that are feeding blood into the smaller parts of your body, including the penis, they just don't, the rush of blood is not what it used to be. And so many men end up taking erectile dysfunction pills, even if they can get an erection, because the pills give them a harder erection. So it makes life more enjoyable. And the interesting, did I ask you what you're going, you're not going into nursing, are you, Victoria?
Yeah, I am.
Good. And you're right. That you're just the person I should be talking to about erectile dysfunction, because the way that Viagra was developed, believe it or not, Pfizer was trying to develop a medication for angina, which you may know in your career is pain around the heart, and it has to do with blood flow. And so they were trying to come up with a medicine that would uh, relax those small little arteries so that they would open up and expand and the blood could flow through better. So literally, they got some volunteers that had heart problems, gave them this medication, and they would come back and say, well, has the pain around your heart, your angina, has that improved? And they said, no, but let me tell you what it's done to my sex life. And so they started getting all this feedback when they were doing, like stage 3 trials with real drugs with real people. And they started getting all this feedback about how guys, it doesn't work for women, by the way, which is a little bit interesting because women have small capillaries that fill with blood too in the clitoris, but Viagra doesn't seem to help them, but it does help men, and for unless they've got other issues going on with erectile dysfunction. So a drug that Pfizer spent a lot of money trying to develop, which was a complete flop, worthless washout, became one of their biggest money making drugs out of all the drugs they make. Viagra because they had the market on it for 10 years. That's the way patents go. And nobody could produce the same drug for 10 years because they're protected. So all those years, that was the only erectile dysfunction drug available. And even guys in their 20s and 30s were buying it so that they could get even a more distinctive erection. So it's funny how science works that way. Let me see your chat here because I can't read your numbers. Okay, 31. That's one of the exciting things about working in medicine. You find out how things were created and discovered, and the Viagra story is pretty funny because I can just imagine a guy going, "Yeah, my heart hurts, but man, let me tell you about my sex life," which wasn't an issue apparently that was discussed with a doctor before, probably. Okay, 31. A teacher is most likely to reach a professional peak. Well, same way we're talking about academics and learning in general. They don't necessarily have to be a teacher, but it's going to be in their 50s. That's where we sort of hit the peak of our abilities to learn and cumulative knowledge that we've gained over our 50 years of life before we start declining in fluid memory, fluid intelligence. So 50's kind of that age. And for nursing, I always use the example when we're talking about crystallized intelligence versus fluid intelligence. A nurse who's in her 50s can learn a new technique. Maybe there's a new medicine, maybe there's a new therapy that they need to get trained on. They can learn that. They just can't learn it as fast as someone like you. So it's not a question of I can't learn more, because obviously synaptogenesis is going on your whole life. So it's not that. It's just you're on the fluid things, the things that are really quick and for you to absorb it and learn it or produce it if you were, doing some kind of, not as a nurse, but just as you're doing some kind of game or something, you're not going to be as fast as you used to be on those kinds of skills because of age. But it does affect learning, but it doesn't mean you can't learn. You just don't learn as fast as you used to when you were your age. So that means learn it all now. No, you're going to be learning new things in medicine your entire life, which is one of the really nice things about going into medicine. It changes all the time. So you have to be on your toes. And as we mentioned before, on Tuesday, that's one way older people can keep their mind clear and working as quick as possible, is by making demands on it. So it's just like atrophy of your muscles. If you keep exercising and working all your muscles, they tend to work better and you feel better. And your brain, not a muscle, of course, but the analogy is that if you use your brain pathways, then they work better and you don't lose them, because synapto pruning is going on your entire life too. So you don't want to lose any connections that you might need for your work or for just your enjoyable life. 55. Elaine is very angry at her husband. Of course. So she is contemplating divorce. Which activity does not involve wise thinking? A, going with her immediate gut emotions. Not a good idea. How about B, thinking about the consequences for everyone involved? Yes, rational thinking. C, searching from input from others. Yes. See what other people think. Maybe they see something that you don't see. So you're gaining information from others who have a different perspective than you. Or D, adopting a less egocentric perspective of her situation. Well, egocentric means you're looking at it from your perspective, how it affects you. Well, that's a good thing to do. That's one of the reasons you're asking your friends and family about how they perceive it. Don't just get wrapped up into your point of view, because there might be other points of view which will expand your mind as to whether it's a good idea to get divorced or not. So really, the answer to 55 is pretty simple now that we've talked about all of them. It would be A, because A is just an immediate reaction. Well, he forgot our anniversary again, and now I'm mad, so screw him, I'm getting divorced. No, not the best thing to do. All right. 4, 5, 31, and 55. Anything else you thought might be a little gray as far as your understanding of the answer?
Well, it's a little too far back, but I think number 86, it's asking about who is describing a redemption sequence.
Redemption song. I can't play music anymore because when I play music, they ban my videos from YouTube because of copyright infringements. Could play a little Bob Marley and Redemption song, but did you say 86?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who is describing a redemption sequence? It's easy. Every time you ask me a question, the answer is A. Hong, who describes how going bankrupt had made him decide to devote his life to the poor. That's a classic, big, emotional event that happened in a person's life. And because of it, they adopted a new type of lifestyle. And so Hong decided to go out and help other people who were less advantaged than he was. And because he learned some things about what it's like to have a bunch of bills and not enough money to pay. So 86 is A. Basically, that goes right with the concept of 87. Highly generative people describe C, tragic events that turned out to be a growth experience that, of course, changed their way of acting with other people. So that's what generativity is. How about 89? What is the quality of a highly generative adult? Well, the answer is always A, right? A, being sensitive to other people suffering from a young age. Like I said, generative thinking can certainly be around in your age, in the millennial age. It's just that you're busy with your schooling and you might have a job and you're trying to get on with your life. And so you're not going to be committing yourself to doing particularly generative activities with other people. For one reason, you haven't lived that long to have an experience base where you could land like Hong had this experience of having to go through bankruptcy and all that stuff. And it made him a little more sensitive to money managing and those kinds of things. So then he decided to, maybe since he learned some things through that bankruptcy, that maybe he could help some other people that didn't have much money to manage. Anyway, he had money, but he mismanaged it. Poor people generally don't have much money, which is why they call them poor. And maybe they have management skills, maybe they don't, but certainly it would help if he had some skills that he could share with somebody, no matter how much money they had, so that they could keep more money to themselves to be able to do the things they want to do. So that's the concept. Anything else?
So ultimately, the redemption sequence takes place later in life, correct?
Well,
Or-
you have to have the experience first,
Oh, okay.
and you could have the redemption cycle probably at any time. Um, but it's just when you get old, the reason the author brings it up at this age is because people are going through a life cycle change in the fact that they're either retired or they're getting closer to retirement. If they had children, most of their children by now are out of the house, and they're looking at things differently. So that's why she mentions it in this age group. But she does mention in the chapter that the attitude can be there, since basically late adolescence, 18 or 19 or something like that. So it's just that people in that, but it's not always the case. There are people who say, well, hey, you're 19. What can you do? What can you offer the world? You're still growing yourself. Well, some people do things like, join the Peace Corps, or take a job teaching English to Chinese students or something, because you may not be old and have a lot of skills, but you do know how to speak English, hopefully well. And most of you can speak Spanish and English. So you would be in a great position to help others. And, when people are applying for graduate school, when they want to go to a big Ivy League school like Dartmouth or Harvard or something like that, sometimes their counselors tell them, hey, if you want to take a year off, or maybe just a summer, and go do some volunteer work with the Peace Corps, or the one that we have here in the United States, which I can't remember the name of, where you go and work with people that are underprivileged, and go into inner city and do things, or go in the rural area and help people with their lives out there. And or AmeriCorps, I think that's what it's called, AmeriCorps. So Peace Corps is more for other countries, go to other countries, where somebody came up with this idea of doing AmeriCorps, where why go to Thailand to help people? You can help people in Appalachia now, or go work on an Indian reservation and help people now. So that's sort of what the deal is. All right. Did you get a chance to watch any of the videos?
No, sir. Yes, on Thursday I was getting my COVID vaccine.
Oh, good for you. Did you get it at UTEP?
No, I got it from UMC. I went to the
Oh.
Coliseum.
Because I got mine at UTEP because they got into some agreement with EPCC. But when I went there for my round one, there was a lot of nursing students, not only from UTEP, but from EPCC. So maybe they're people that are further along in the program or something. I don't know. You're not seeing any patients, right?
No, I'm not in a program yet.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
I'm working towards that.
Oh, okay. well, it made sense to me. When I first saw all those young people there, I thought, well, this doesn't make sense. Why do we have all these young people? And then when I started seeing them with their nursing stuff on, I thought, oh, that makes sense. You're going to see patients, obviously, or even if you're not seeing patients, if you're just walking around the hospital learning the floors or whatever, you're going to be running a higher risk of catching something. So, yeah, it made sense that they were offering the vaccine for nursing students and medical students and pharmacy students and all sorts of stuff. So, all right. Anything else?
No, sir. Those were all the questions I had from the study guide.
Let's see what chapter 13 is about. I can't remember that far. Later life, cognitive, emotional, and social development. So it's life beyond 60. So not very exciting stuff when you're young. Unless you're interested in geriatrics, which is a specialty in itself. I don't know. I've been in nursing homes. I don't like nursing homes at all. But there's a lot of things I could not do in medicine because I have really perceptive, active senses. And I have a really good sense of smell, which is great when you're smelling nice things and not so great when you're smelling not good things. So nursing homes reek of not good things. So I don't do well around the smell of bodily fluids and things that I really don't want to be around. So as much as people clean and do all the things they're supposed to do, it's still, I mean, even the smell of the hospitals doesn't smell like bodily things, fluids, but it, because of the cleaner they use, there's always has that unpleasant smell for me. So, but you're tough. You'll get used to it because that's what nurses do. All right.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend. I'll post the test in a little while, and then I'll start working on. Maybe I'll go get something to eat, and then I'll start working on chapter 13. So thanks
Thank you,
for checking
sir.
in.
No problem. Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
You too.